They say don't judge a book by its cover, but that's how this meet cute starts. It began when Elizabeth Wampler accompanied a roommate to pick up a friend who needed a driver because he has cerebral palsy. Stephen was born with the condition, which causes muscle weakness and affects a person's ability to move, something Elizabeth was not well versed in.
I didn't know what to say. I was afraid because I assumed he was sad. I assumed he was having a rough life, and I assumed he didn't have any friends. So what if I opened my mouth and I said something that made him more sad than I assumed he already was? That's how off I was.
She was so awkward.
Yeah.
And so uncomfortable. It was like, oh my God, this girl is just...
What is her deal?
What is her deal?
After that first awkward encounter, Stephen and Elizabeth kept bumping into each other at dinner parties, and the ice from their first frosty meeting started to melt.
We just kept being thrown together. And then I could just watch people enjoy him so much, not as the token friend with the disability, but he's irreverent, he's funny, he's responsible, he dresses beautifully, he's an ethical, good human being.
Soon, the pair went from acquaintances to friends to partners.
This guy was in front of me, and I was learning so much about a human being. And it's fine for me to admit how green I was, how little I knew, but I didn't know just how full his life was.
Elizabeth learned not to judge a book by its cover, but she still hadn't yet learned just how amazing the book of Stephen's life would be.
When we were far enough along in our relationship, I would say, how are you going to hold a baby? How? And he would say, I don't know, but I am not the least bit worried about it.
It seems Stephen's story had no limits. They did go on to have 2 kids, and together they created the Stephen J. Wampler Foundation, which runs Camp Wamp, a fully accessible summer camp for kids with disabilities. Stephen gives motivational speeches and has gone skydiving, and he went on to become the first person with cerebral palsy to reach the top of Yosemite's El Capitan.
We've had an extraordinary experience together. Many, many, many remarkable things have happened. We both believe that our lives would have been really different without finding each other.
In July, they will celebrate 30 years of marriage.
We were just meant to be. It was one of those. It was just easy and smoother than you would think, in spite of it all. So we've never had massive struggles. And
every fight was had.
Shut up. I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
Exactly. All 4 fights. Her fault.
Ridiculous. Kind of true.
Yeah.
But ridiculous.
So don't judge a book, read it cover to cover, and you may see a world you never imagined.
Everything that I thought was hard turned out to be not just better, but extraordinary. Extraordinary. And I credit all of that to Stephen.